Today I wanted to talk to you about contests and what they can do for you. There's a lot of hype about contests right now, but before I do that, I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. David Maslach. I have created a peer proofreading and editing platform where you can reciprocate. If you go on to the website, it's reciprocity.com. It's spelled with a 3 instead of an E. You can reciprocate and get credits for the work that you've been working on, or for editing other people's work, or you can purchase credits there. And the vast majority of those that when you purchase the credits is going to go to the editor on the other side. So it's a sort of sharing economy model. Anyways, enough about that. I wanted to actually talk to you about contests because there's a lot of, it's kind of all in the rage right now on the internet in terms of people recommending that you create a contest, for example, to increase the number of subscribers that you have on your blog. You create a contest to increase the number of mailing lists, people on your mailing list. Create a contest to do anything at this point. There's a lot of hype about that, and that's actually a good thing. I think contests are very, very powerful. There's been a lot of, and what I actually wanted to talk to you, so I'm Dr. Maslach, and so I study strategy and innovation, entrepreneurship, and a large research institute in Florida. And there is actually a lot of research that has gone on in the idea of contests and tournaments. Going back for about 30 years now. There's a recent review, and this is what I'm going to talk to you, or I'm going to base a lot of this discussion on today, was by Brian Connelly, Laszlo Tihanyi, Russell Crook, and Ashley Gangloff. Well, there's a lot of other people that are doing some really interesting things in this area. Based on the research that I've read, in particular, Lazier and Rosen, they did the original article about tournament theory, as well as Kevin Boudreau in Boston University is doing some really interesting things on this as well. So with that, what do we know about creating contests? Well, there's actually a lot of really positive things that you get from creating contests, but there's also some really negative things that you should really think about when you're doing it. So what are the positive things that you can get? Well, we do know that contests do incentivize people to do something. If you have your particular target in mind, they're going to be incentivized to do that particular thing, right? And what else we also know is that what's really important is the relative reward that you get. So that means relative reward is not the absolute reward that you get that's important, right? So that means that it's not necessarily the amount of money or the size of the prize, for example. So, if you think of giving away $1,000 versus $100 million, it's not necessarily the size that matters, but it's actually the relative difference that matters in terms of the people that are participating. So let's say you have one individual, let's say you have sort of a two-person contest. Now that's really strange, I know, but this is what we do in academics. We kind of abstract these things. If you have a two-person contest, for example, and the first person, the loser, wins $1,000 and the winner wins $1,010, there's a slight incentive there. But if you think of the loser wins $1,000 and the winner wins $10,000, there's a $9,000 difference. It's the $9,000 difference that matters to the incentive. To the incentive. So it's not necessarily that in the first situation that the winner won $1,010 that matters. It's the fact that they actually made a $10 difference gain on the loser that matters. That's really incredibly, that's an important topic to think about in terms of these relative rewards, because you want to make sure that there's a big enough difference between the person, the sort of winner in the situation, in the contest that you're creating or thinking about, and the rest of the people that are participating as well. So this also goes into things if you're creating a Kickstarter campaign, for example, and you want to encourage people to donate more to whatever you're doing, that you have sort of this rank order situation where the highest, the sort of highest ranking and donor for your cause is getting something substantially more, whatever it is, whether it's it's a meet and greet or you go out for dinner or something like that, something that's substantially more than everybody else is going. And the reason is that it encourages people, it incentivizes people to perform the particular action towards the goal that you're moving towards, right? So it's really important to think about that in terms of the action that you're targeting. So that's the other important thing, is you have to think about what are you incentivizing those people for. Sorry, I got a piece of hair there. What are you incentivizing people, and what are you incentivizing them to do? That's really important. So the incentives that you create, right, so there's relative difference in rewards, you have to make sure that it matches with the behaviors you want to get. And so this actually brings to these sort of negative things that you can get from creating tournaments and contests and things like that, is it actually can create a lot of negative behavior. Particularly, the first one is if you don't have it sort of incentivized in the right way, if you don't have it aligned in the right way. So for example, you're just telling people to go onto your website rather than telling them that going onto the website, subscribing, purchasing credits, and then you're going to win, you have a chance of winning something. Just going onto the website is going to encourage people to, create robots and things like that to log on to your website, sort of the ways to cheat the system in such a way that encourages a lot more actions that are sort of unintended than what you wanted to encourage. You want to make sure that that's really important. The other thing is you have to think about sort of justice. And so there's been a lot of studies of using this sort of framework within organizations, believe it or not, and looking at things like CEO pay. So how we're trying to sort of figure out, why is there a large difference in CEO pay? So a number of different scholars in this area have looked at this. And, the thought is, so one of our beliefs is that CEOs are just getting really, really overpaid, and, the world's coming to the end because they're getting overpaid. But we have to also think about the contest or the sort of tournament behavior behind this in terms of the CEO pay. So if you have one CEO, if you have the CEO or the top management team within an organization that gets paid a lot, that's going to encourage people to work towards becoming the CEO or becoming a senior level manager. And that incentive is very, very strong, and it keeps motivating people. So what, the thought is, once you actually achieve this pay, then you're going to be disincentive. There's less disincentive. So once you become the CEO, for example, there's less disincentive for you to even care about what's going on, or you're less invested in the company than if you have that sort of, that you can move up in the sequence of steps, right? So you can move up in the ladder. The problem is that creates issues. You can imagine, right, that this creates issues with things about justice and turnover, for example. So there's some organizations, things like you probably have heard of different law firms, for example. Universities have the same thing in a very competitive university environment, departments, where you have sort of an up or out status, where if you don't meet these different criteria, you could be removed from the department, or that you're not going to meet these different criteria, you will feel upset and you will move out of there. So there's actually a lot of turnover when you have these sort of tournament settings, for example. So that's something you want to think about when you're doing your own contest, is to encourage people to build a relationship rather than, so you want to build a relationship with somebody rather than think about them as sort of they're just competing in this contest, and you have to sort of really seriously think about what does that mean for you and for what you're creating, right? So if you create this blog, for instance, and you're thinking about doing a contest, well, do you want to incentivize those individuals that are going to participate in the contest and leave, or do you want to build a community with the different individuals? And it depends on really what you want to do. If you want to do sort of one-shot thing that is very quick and easy and is done right away, then you probably want to do the contest, because it's harder to build those relationships in the long run. You might want to have contests along the way anyways, or giveaways and things like that, just to encourage people to, just to have fun, for example, to have fun. So, or you can build things. If you want to build a relationship, you have to do other things, such as YouTube videos, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing these YouTube videos, is I actually want to build a relationship with the different people that are watching these. So with that, that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you think this is really cool and you want to help out, do go onto the website, reciprocity.com. That's spelled with a 3 instead of an E, where you can you can reciprocate with your own proofreading and editing skills, pure proofreading skills, or you can purchase credits. The other thing that you can do is subscribe to the video or like this video if you think it's interesting and it's valuable. I want to make sure that I can pass this on to other people, pass this knowledge that we sort of do within the business school and the big business schools, and pass on some of these ideas that we talk about and that we research. So with that, have a good day. Take care. Bye.